Mike Abramovitz. Did I say that right?
Close enough. We all know what it is.
All right. So Mike is a district executive for Vector Marketing and the founder of GRAB Tomorrow, or GRAB Tomorrow, Grab Tomorrow, which is a life skills development agency for young professionals in the greater, I don't know what that is,
Pinellas, Tampa Bay area.
Okay, so I'm clearly not from there. Excuse my ignorance, county area. So I'll let you do the rest. You have an amazing bio, and I'm excited for your talk. So can we just give him a round of applause?
I want everyone to think about, first off, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. I am so excited to serve you. And I want you to think about this fill in the blank. I am not enough, or I do not have enough blank. I do not have enough blank. So you could write it down, you could just think it out loud, you could have it in your phone. I do not have enough blank. Maybe for you it's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's energy, maybe it's self-confidence, maybe it's self-control, maybe it's friends, maybe it's love. So think of, I do not have enough blank. Everybody have one? Shout out a couple.
Money.
Not
all at once.
So what would you say? Time.
Energy.
Freedom. Energy. Love it. Self-control. Discipline. Love it. See, the way we view the world, in my opinion, is called the lens. And that lens is created as we grow up as children. And I think about the lens that I developed early on in life. I think about 3 people that I hung around the most as a little kid was my mom, my dad, and my sister. And I think about my dad. Growing up in New Jersey, he's grew up in poverty, super poor upbringing, grew up in Trenton, New Jersey in the slums, and his parents pretty much abandoned him growing up, so he never knew how to give affection nor receive affection, but he was always generous, but didn't necessarily know how to give love. I think about the other person that I spent most of my time with as a kid was also my older sister. This is my older sister, Liz. I'm the youngest of 8, but I spent most of the time with Liz because she was 2 years older than me. And she was my biggest bully growing up. That's about it. And I think about my mom. My mom was always protective. She had 6 kids. Her life on earth was simply just to raise her kids. And that's it. That was her calling on earth, is just to raise her family. And I think about the lens that I had as I was growing up. See, my dad, in order to get his love as a kid, I had to be tough. Because he was so tough. But if I was too tough, my sister beat me up. Because I was taken away from my older sis. My mom, I always got her love. I didn't have to do anything for it. So it made me soft. But if I was too soft, my sister beat me up. So, I think about how I fit in. I think about the early stages of my life. I'll go 3rd grade. First road trip, I was in 3rd grade. My parents rented a car to go see my oldest brother perform in Boston. So I grew up in New Jersey, and we're driving up to Boston, and it was a rental car, and it was really cool because my sister and I are in the back seat, and the seats folded down. So that way you could go into the trunk. So my sister thought it was a cool idea to fold down the seats and go in the trunk and put her in there and just kind of see what it would look like in the trunk. So she says, Michael, as soon as I bang, let me out. Cool. 15 seconds, she goes in, she crawls in, my parents are driving, they have no idea what we're doing in the back seat. Lock her in the trunk, about 15 seconds go by, she bangs. So I open it up, she's like, oh, that was amazing, that was incredible. You try. Okay, I'm 3rd grade, so I go in the trunk, I crawl in there and lock it up, and I sit there for about 15 seconds. I'm like, all right, I had enough. Banging on it. 20 seconds. At about 30 seconds, I think I had a panic attack. Hysterically crying at this point, short as a breath, I can't breathe, I feel like I'm about to pass out, It feels like an eternity. It's about 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds at this point. I think I'm about to die. And then finally, which felt like an eternity, was about 2 minutes. She finally opens it up, and she's hysterically laughing. I just feel like I just died. And my parents had no idea what was going on. This was my first experience with trust in 3rd grade. In 5th grade, my dad and I were in Denver, Colorado for my brother's wedding, and he sees a homeless guy across the street digging in the trash can. So he gives me a $5 bill and says, "Go ahead, give this to that guy across the street." So I run across about 5-6 lanes of traffic, tap him on the shoulder. "Here you go, mister, this is for you." I had to be 10 years old. He looks at me, looks at the $5, I look at him. He has a bag of McDonald's, he's eating some french fries out of the trash can. He looks at me, I look at him, and he kicked me right in the stomach. And he said, "I want your damn money." I freaked out. I dropped the money. I ran across the street. I'm hysterically crying. "Oh my God, he just kicked me in the stomach. Go get him." My dad is cracking up, hysterically laughing. Thought it was the funniest thing that's ever happened. And I'm hysterically crying, like, because I just got beat up by a homeless guy. So he says to me, he says, "Michael, what do you want me to do? We're going to beat this guy up?" You know what he's doing. And he said a couple words, he said, "You did the right thing. Do the right thing, be all right." My dad was always generous with other people, always gave love to other people, always taught me how to give to other people. It's a great valuable lesson I learned in 5th grade. Before I get to that, one of the cool things about when I was growing up in New Jersey, the cool thing was playing sports and playing basketball. I think it was probably everywhere. But on the basketball team, I was the only white kid. So I wanted to fit in. So in 7th grade, I could hit the shot, but I was fat and I was slow and I was white. So I was pretty much out of playing basketball. But I had a really good work ethic. So in 7th grade, I played rec basketball. And the cool thing were the red and black Michael Jordans. And the Jordans, these were sweet shoes. I don't know if any of you guys are down with the shoes, but red and black, the suede at the bottom, they were awesome. So I saved up some money, I bought these shoes, and I showed up to school with them, and all the cool kids on the basketball team thought they were amazing. Like, "Oh, it's got the J's. Oh," so we were at study hall, and they were lacing up my shoes, and I fit in, I fell off cool. I was in the cool crowd. I finally had some friends, never had friends. So I finally had some friends, they received me, I felt good. I was like, this is good. We're talking, we'll go to lunch together, my new friends. And that was also the day of the weigh-in in gym class. And they're all behind me in line, and I step up to the scale, and that was the day they moved the 150 knob to the 200 knob. And then my so-called friends turned into making fun of me, fat jokes, which I was already completely insecure about, completely accented it. I went home, cried my eyes out, and realized that number one, possessions can't help me, and number two, I need to find new friends. 8th grade basketball comes around, I want to try out for the team, it's the same bullies, the same kids. I didn't want to associate with them, I got fist fights with them all through 7th grade just so they get off my case. I was the pimple kid, freckles, braces, glasses, overweight, but I had heart, I had determination, so I tried out for the basketball team. I was like, I never tried out for a sport. I almost didn't try out because I thought I wouldn't make it. But I tried out anyway. And I'm running as hard as possible. I was last place every time. But I'm running. I have a cramp in my side. And I'm running through it. And the coach pulls me aside at the end of the tryouts. And he says, "Mike," sits me on the bench. He says, "Come over here." And he sits me on the bench. And Coach Nopfeld looked at me and he said, "Mike, your attitude and your work ethic is unmatchable. And I need a guy like you on my team." And I said, "Sir, are you sure?" You just saw what just happened, right? I was last place every time, right? He said, "Heart like that is hard to find." So I told my parents about me making the team. They thought it was the best thing ever, but I told about this cramp, and my mom, being super protective like she was, made me go to the doctors to get it checked out. Just in case. The test results come back. And my dad calls me hysterically crying on the phone. It was the first time in my life I ever heard my dad cry. And he said 3 words I never in my life heard until that day, which was, "I love you." And he said, "Everything's going to be fine." Then my mom calls me, and she's hysterically crying, and says the same thing, "I love you, and everything's going to be fine." I'm like, what the hell's happening? Like, what do you know that I don't know? They get home that night from work, and they sit me down, they said, "Mike, the test results came back that you have testicular cancer." I didn't know what the hell that meant, because I was in 8th grade. So we got 3 more checkups, because we didn't take that end result. We just got 3 more tests done, and all 3 came back the exact same, that it was not testicular cancer. That it was a varicocele, which essentially what that was described to me was my varicose vein in one of my testicles essentially was a retarded nut, is the way it was described to me. My sister had a field day with that one. Don't worry, it's okay now. Like, it works perfect. So. We're good now. At that time in life, it was the worst. So I fast forward to my mid to late teens. At 16 years old, I'm 7th period English class. My sister's best friend pulls me out of class and says, "Michael, you need to come home." I said, "7th period, I'll just come home. The day's almost done." She's like, "No, your mom needs to see you. Come home now." Which I thought was odd because it's never happened before. So I'm 16 years old. My mom sits me on the couch and says, "Michael, I've been having that pain in my stomach. That we didn't know what it was. Turns out that I do have a tumor. And they do need to go to an operation on Monday. They said everything's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. We'll be fine. I just want to let you know." Again, I'm 16. I didn't know. I never met anyone with cancer. I didn't know what that meant. So she went for the operation. They cut it out, a grapefruit-sized tumor out of her ovaries. I used to drive her to chemotherapy when I was 17 in high school. And she was making friends with the doctors like nothing was wrong. So I didn't think anything of it because my mom was my superhero. She was my rock. I didn't think anything of it. She was making friends there. And one day, I remember my mom asked one of the doctors, she said, "Where is so-and-so?" I said, "Oh, I'm sorry you didn't hear, but they didn't make it. They passed away last week." And it clicked. At 17, I was like, my mom's in the same facility as all these people that are dying. So I pulled my mom, and I sat her on the couch, and I said, "Mom, I don't think I should go away to college. You know, I was in New Jersey. I'm only applying to schools in Florida. I'm like, I need to be here with the family. I'm the youngest of 8, and everyone else was up in New Jersey. I'm like, I think I should stay here." And she says, "Michael, are you crazy? Are you cracking up?" In a New York accent. "Are you cracking up? Florida has big things for you. You got to move to Florida. You're just a plane ride away. I'll be fine. Don't change your life for me." So I went to Florida. We had a big party at my house before I left. Big party at my house, and my sister's, one of her good friends is sitting there, and he's like, "I give you 4 weeks. And then my dad's like, "No more than 6. They were taking bets on how long I'm going to last on my own living independent in Florida. So when I got in my car and I got into my dorm room after I put my Michael Jordan posters up and I put all my pictures up and my Pamela Anderson poster right above the bed. Perfect. I broke down and I hysterically cried. I cried my eyes out. I cried my eyes out because the pressure of it is real. Like, I have got to perform. I've got to be a man. My mom is counting on me. These jerks in my life are doubting me. I have got to perform. I got to show up. I got a letter in the mail from a company with Vector Marketing in Cutco at 19, and I didn't realize how much it was going to change my life because I never sold anything in my life, and I always lacked confidence because of this lens that I had in my life. I'm sharing these stories with you because this is the lens of what I was growing up in. I was growing up in a lens that I lacked confidence, I was fat, I was overweight, I wasn't enough. People doubted my abilities. I was faced with all these challenges of these different circumstances. Influence my lens. That was a breakthrough for me. That I didn't have to be a victim to my lens of my childhood. I can control it and I can change it if I choose to. At 20 years old, I was doing well. I bought my first house when I was 20. I had a girlfriend. I fell in love with a great girl. I opened up a business with that company. It was awesome for a summertime. I was doing well. And then I got a phone call. And the phone call was, Mike, you've got to get home. The doctor said Mom won't make it till the end of the week. So I dropped everything on the plane, went to the hospital. Doctor sat us all in the room. We're sitting in the hospital room. Mom's in a different room. We're sitting there as a family. And the doctor says, I hate giving bad news to good people, but Mom has about a week. Cancer's aggressively taking over her body. Left the room. I chased after him, like, Doc, wait. One week, like, I'm in college, like, I can't just drop out of college. I just, I have a business, I have all these things, like, like, can I just come up next weekend? Like, 1 week, like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, I wouldn't get back on that plane. And walked away. So I do what I always did. What do? Talk to my mom. So I go to the hospital, and I said, Mom, like, I gotta stay here with you. Like, there's no way I could go back down to school right now. Like, I gotta stay here with you. It's bad. And she's like, they don't know what they're talking about. I'll be fine. Just come back in the weekend. I was like, Mom, I don't need to do this. Like, I could, Michael, just come back during the weekend. I'll be fine. You know how tough that decision was? To get back on the freaking plane, I had my mom telling me I'll be fine. The doctor saying she's not going to be fine. I'm getting ridiculed by my siblings saying you're selfish, that you're going to go back to school when Mom's dying. If she could be tough, I could be tough. Got on the plane. That was the longest week ever, man. 5 engineering classes, working full time. In my entrepreneurial efforts, I had to do it. I had to get it through the week. And I got to that Friday night, 9 p.m. flight. Got the midnight train, and there was an air mattress waiting on the floor. My mom sat up with a smile on her face. Happy to see her baby boy. And I was happy to see my mom. You know what? I made that freaking trip 26 times over the next 8 months. And every single week was a gamble. And every single week it was the same conversation with Mom. Every single week she fought and I fought. She fought and I fought. 26 times in 8 months. And I watched that woman fight. Oh my goodness, I watched her fight. I never saw someone be so strong and so weak at the same time. I found something in me during that time. Unfortunately, Mom did lose that battle with cancer. And I was in Naples, Florida, running my own business at that time. And I shut down my business. And I went home to the funeral, spent time with the family, did what I had to do. But my mom fought so I can accept it as her baby. And I reached acceptance. Even though it was the toughest thing ever, but I was able to accept it. And I got back on the plane, got ridiculed again, and I went to continue my business, and every one of those people in that business quit on me. I was 20 years old. Read that shit? They buried my mom. You can't wait 5 damn days. 5 days, you can't wait? And they all quit. I'm 20 years old. So what do? Do what I only know how to do. I freaking work my ass off, and I build my business all from scratch all over again. Finished that business, finished as the #1 office in the division. But what happened is, emotionally, I wasn't 100% there. I started lashing out. I started projecting my insecurities onto those around me. Started having anger built up inside me. I started projecting those insecurities, and I went to a grievance counselor. I started talking to somebody, and I was so embarrassed by this. Nobody knew about this in my entire life, that I was talking to someone at my campus. Because I was ashamed that I wasn't capable of handling the death of my mom. I was ashamed that I wasn't able to handle the death of my mom. And I didn't want to talk about that. I started journaling. And I'll tell you, journaling helped me channel those emotions and use it for the greater good. I started channeling my energy into self-help and sort of personal growth and development, reading books and going to seminars and learning and teaching and learning and teaching. And at 22, I started investing some more into real estate and into my success, and I want to get ahead in life, so I bought my second home and my third house at 22. So upon graduating college at the University of South Florida, I had 3 houses I was renting out. I inherited a part of my childhood home. I had about $1 million in net worth, and I was doing well. Net worth was great, my self-worth was great, I was confident, I was developed, I felt awesome, my relationship was thriving. And then by 25, the market collapses. And do you know what happens when your net worth, your self-worth is tied to your net worth? So I thought I was emotionally stable, but I wasn't emotionally stable because my emotions were tied to my results. And when those results went down, everything went down with it. My emotions, my ego, my possessions, everything. And I went negative $130,000 when I was 25 years old and lost the properties. Another thing I didn't want to talk about. At 26, 27, I get a phone call that my best friend and college roommate, I have lunch plans on a Sunday, and it's Saturday night at 2 in the morning, he gets T-boned and gets in a fatal car crash and loses his life. See, that doesn't happen. See, mom, she's older, she had kids, but a 27-year-old kid to lose his life? That's not supposed to happen. The parent doesn't bury the kid. That doesn't happen. I remember standing next to his dad, and I'm standing next to Leaford at the open casket at the funeral. I'm standing next to Leaford. He said, "Any final words for your best friend?" And I thought I would have a flood of emotion. But I developed a shield of emotion instead. And I blocked it all. I said, "That's not my friend. I don't know where my friend is, but that's not my friend. That's just a body. I miss him." That was it. So now at 27, I have this shield of emotion, which of course affected my relationship, and I had broken up with my girlfriend and I of 7 years. We decided to split ways. I was in an all-time low. My uncle passed from heart disease. My sister, well, my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, dies from ovarian cancer. And through all this loss, through all this shit, a shift took place. That I realized that all of these tragedies, all this adversity was actually a gift. In some crazy way, I was able to convince myself of this. That my mess is my message. And I heard that somewhere. And it stuck for a really long time. So I decided to give. I volunteered in my community, 300 plus hours of speaking to schools and to students to share my mess and to share my message and encourage these kids to say, your circumstances do not determine you. You can make it through it. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic conditions. You can be true to you. Find your self-worth. Find your authentic self and be you. Forget about your lens. Forget about how you view the world. You can change your world. I started this wheel of life right here. It's really where I started investing a lot of my time. I started investing into the people that matter most in my life. I invested into my relationships. My dad is now 75 years old, and he's also my best friend. And even though my dad is one of the toughest guys, he's tough as nails, and his whole upbringing, I broke that guy down. Oh, I broke him down with you. I read book after book on how to break a grown-ass man down. And we went on a trip to Hawaii right after my mom passed, and I told him, I said, "Dad, it's your time to be mom and dad." I said, "What do you mean? I don't that's it. I said, "I don't care. You have to show up. I need you, and you need to show up." I'm excited to say that my dad's relationship with myself is better than it's ever been. And one of the things that I decided to do with Dad is, growing up, our dream was to always go skiing in Switzerland together. And I told him when I was a little kid, one day I'm going to take you to Switzerland to go skiing. One day I'm going to get you there. And it was one of those like, yeah, that sounds good, Mike. Good job. Well, I'm proud to say that
most people start skiing when
we went to Switzerland.
80 and 6 years. So this is like more than a dream for me. It's like a newfound life.
A newfound life at 74 years old, and I'll be 30. This is my last goal of my dreams list to hit before I turn 30 years of age. So I'm really glad to make this one dream come true.
Intentional focus. I was so intentional with this relationship. I was intentional with finding a companion. In fact, I put a vision board together, and in the vision board I found characteristics I look for in a female. Nice eyes, music, hot body, the necessities, right? But I put all these things on a vision board. I put health on the vision board. And one of the things I put on the vision board was my head on Channing Tatum's body. You know? And I put all these things on my vision board. Be intentional with things. So waking up and going to bed, intentional with things. I want to make a difference in my community, so I started feeding people. Maybe that guy that kicked me in the stomach, you know, maybe he knocked some sense into me. But I started feeding some people, and those in need in Tampa Bay. So we fed 350 people our first month doing it. And now I'm proud to say we just hit the 25,000 milestone this last month. We provided over 25,000 meals since February 2015, which is really exciting, and we're trying to do 25,000 this year. We did 8,500 our first year. We're already over 16,000 this year, and we're going to break that 25,000 milestone. My goal is to get 100 locations across the United States to host one of these frenzies each month, so we can feed 600,000 people every single year, and I'm really excited about that. So that's something I'm working on right now, and really investing into greater good in my community. My career mission, I started going into serving, and that's where Grad Tomorrow came from. It was a platform for me to help students and young professionals, and it's not just students of life, to take control of their life outside the classroom, to be intentional with where they wanted to be in life, regardless of that lens that was shaped as they were little kids. So I started being intentional with this community, and I launched 2 books last year, one on a goal-setting workbook on how to craft a life, and then the second one is called Real Stories, Real People, to have people like you and like me to take stories, their shit that we had to go through in life, and put it into a story and put it on a platform and to get it out to the world to raise money for PB&J for Tampa Bay. I'm proud to say that both of those were #1 bestsellers on Amazon. They're all over different countries around the world, and all of you guys, if you want it for free, if you text 66866, you can take grab, you'll get the ebooks and you can download them. My gift to all of you, so that way you can hear more of that message and hear these stories from these inspired people just around all over the world. And these are just great individuals, and it's a great platform and a great space that we've created for people to be vulnerable and find a life of abundance and find a life of fulfillment. And if that sounds like a community that you would like to join, we would love to have you as members of that Grab community. Of course, it will be on the Facebook page. And I want to leave you with this. I asked you in the beginning today, I said, I'm not enough, or I don't have enough blank, right? My challenge is to you, is to replace that with, I'm filled with blank. I'm filled with blank. And you say that shit over and over again until you believe it. And I'm filled with blank. I'm filled with money. I'm filled with love. I'm filled with gratitude. I'm filled with appreciation. I'm filled with friends, whatever it might be. And if you convince yourself that, my 24-hour challenge is you look in the freaking mirror and you convince yourself of that wheel of life. Whatever you're feeling like you're lacking abundance with, you find it, you convince yourself that you are enough, you have enough, and you always will be enough, regardless of that lens that you think you have to be because of who you were. Your past is not you. Let's move past our past together. And I thank you for being here in this space. And I'll be here the rest of the night. I don't leave till 8 p.m. tomorrow night. I'm here to serve. If you want a conversation, if you want to cry, I'll cry with you, because my whole life that's all I did was cry. So, thanks
Awesome. Also glad I don't have to follow that out. That was awesome. So I'm not going to tell you a story because I feel like